Alrighty. Welcome back to this session of Product Like It's Friday, even though it's Saturday. Yesterday, we actually did a Friday session. And in yesterday's session, we started off with playing games. We invited a few friends and we were able to engage in friendship via gameplay. And while we were playing the games, we were actually analyzing their interface, the gameplay, the experience, so that maybe we can think about certain aspects of the game that we're building and see maybe if there aren't elements that we can improve. We won't immediately do that. I think yesterday, Mayor and I did do a debrief at the end about what we thought, what our experiences were, and I think as we go back to building our game and playing our game, we'll start to see things that we can improve and apply. Even I think maybe even as I go through it today, I'll probably note certain things that could probably change in order to improve the gameplay, and that's coming from having played these other games with people and experiencing the natural pauses that come with games, the lack of clarity. If you're just playing for the first time, you're confused, and maybe there's ways that the game can assist that. Although I think for our game, like the B concept is fairly popular, and the games that we were playing weren't necessarily popular. But otherwise, for today, I want to go back to coding questions. I still have a bunch of questions remaining. So let me share my screen and we'll get into it. So where we left off the other day, yesterday, I had brought back a bunch of these questions and I want to comment them out one more time so I can focus on questions. There's a bunch of things that are failing because I changed a lot of typings, and I'll have to go back and rework a lot of that. But again, I'm not too worried about it because there's a whole lot of refactoring that needs to happen. This is not the cleanest of codes. And so I'm going to have to make some changes sooner or later. Okay, I already noticed that I made a mistake in my commenting. And let me just undo that. And let's just do it right this time. Okay, and then I don't want the first question to be commented out. Okay. Yesterday we were working on this question and I wasn't quite able to figure out that question to a point of satisfaction. That was this one. I was trying to capture the spirit of the question, but still be able to randomize it. And I wasn't happy with wherever we netted out. So I still have a problem here, unfortunately. I thought it was fairly clear. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Okay, let's see. Let me actually just comment out the whole thing. And I have empty questions, but it should run. Okay, good. But I'm going to move on. Like I want to come back to this because I'm not happy with where we stopped. I think there is a nice solution to get a randomized question for this one and still keep the spirit of the question. But for now, I feel like I might spend too much time and not get it. And then it'll delay the whole process of doing the rest of these. So hopefully my goal for today, honestly, I'd be thrilled if we could just finish them off. But let's see if that's possible. So this one is perimeter of a square. So let me actually copy that. And let's go perimeter. Perimeter of square. And I'm gonna use AI again here. Before the stream started, I did actually copy this out. So I'm just gonna copy that much into and let's see if the AI can't fill out the rest. So in this case, I actually want text. I want to paste this out and see if, so the AI is actually trying to incorporate these numbers here. So I should probably just change this to area and get rid of these. And let's see if it doesn't give me a better thing now. That's interesting. I like how it's offering hints. And we might think about that kind of a thing in the future. Though for now, let's see if it just figures out the answer. And I will need to I honestly don't know if this is correct or not. So that's something that I'll just have to trust here. And then I have to do as number for a bunch of these, just because of the way the typing happened. But yeah, 4 times square root of 10. And that's what this is. 4 times square root of 10 is the formula. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Rounding here does make sense. And so let's see if that didn't work properly and we have a question. And I'm just going to trust it. I'm okay with it. I thought there would have been a way to specify the kind of the superscript here in LaTeX, but that's fine. So, okay, easy question. Let's move on to the next one. We're going to skip this one because I don't want to do images and have to deal with certain potential constraints on the images. I don't know how to make them or build them. Okay, this is a fun one because it's Steph Curry. So let's see if I can't copy it from here. And let's actually commit this first. Adding perimeter of squared question. And I'll take this and we'll have free throws question. And here it's attempts and makes, right? So I can name these attempts. I noticed that I need to change the min-max amount here. So we'll do that later. And then this can be makes. And so here we want a larger number. So maybe something like, 350 to 500. And then the makes, interestingly enough, have to be above 90%, because Steph Curry is a 90%. So I can't just randomize this number to be anything and then mess up here. So in order to do this, I'll actually create an answer, which will have to be above, 90 to 100. Well, not 100. It's not that good. Let's say 90 to 95. Let's give him some breathing room here. And yeah, I was thinking whether this should maybe be a decimal number. So there's some accommodation for because the makes, ultimately, I'm going to have to I'm going to need to make them an integer. But if I do this, I don't think it'll always come out an integer. Okay, let's work it out. So this can be a derived value. And the formula can be attempts times answer divided by 100. That is correct. And then I want to just round this because I want a full-on integer here, which means this won't technically be the answer. So we do have to recalculate the answer. So maybe I don't want to call this answer. I want to call this base percentage or something. I don't know. But I noticed my autocomplete isn't working for some reason, which is annoying. Let me just quit and come back into Vim to see if that doesn't trigger that. So if I did base, okay, there we go. I need to configure a lot of my Vim things. I haven't revisited that in a while. Okay, so we have this. They'll give us the makes. And then, oh, I never copied the question properly or brought it through. So let's do that. I really should start with pasting the question first as a starting point. And here, I think I can also kind of use the natural breaks here. And then let's go ahead and do that. And then I do want to rework this so that the answer is calculated, rounded to 2 decimal places, and all of that. And then again, I wish that the AI had started picking up on these changes that I need to make for the typings. Okay, let's get back here and run it. 390 divided by 424, was it? 91.98. So let's see what the answer is. Yeah, I'm okay with that. You know, I don't like the idea of the answer necessarily just being an integer percent all the time, because then because we know that it's going to be anywhere from 90 to 95, we're kind of priming the students to do that. In this case, now they actually have to do the mathematics for this. And I think that does make the question a bit more complex, but that's too bad. Okay, by Mary's sort of helpful sticky notes here, this one also seems like it's straightforward. This, so these are the 3 numbers, and this is the formula. So, okay, looking fairly standard. Let me commit. I mean, you know, because we've added all these different types of variables, we don't really need to add too many more as we're going. I might have to add something in order to generate like a series of numbers, maybe, but we'll see. Adding free throws question. Okay, now I want to take this, and the next one is pounds of apples, I'll call it. And we can copy it from our friend AI. And I'll just close it here. And let me just take a look if there is a natural break here. And let's see how the question is represented, actually. Same rate. What is the... So I'll break it. I'll respect the original question. And then I have weight of apples, right? And this is 4 pounds. So let me just say maybe anywhere from 3 to 7 for now. And then I have cost of apple. Total cost. And this can be a decimal. 2 decimal places. Let's say min is 4.12. Let's say 6.4. Why not? Will this work? I actually don't know if this will work. I don't think I ever tried that. But that's fine. I mean, honestly, if it's anywhere from 4 to, let's say, even 7. That's fine too. 2 decimal places is fine. I think I'll go with 1 just to respect the 0 here, and the cost of pounds. So I'll call this purchase pounds, and that'll be what we actually purchase. Yeah, 8 to 12 is fine. And then let's go ahead and replace these values. So weight, I think I need to do that. And then total cost. The other thing I think I could have done is to have, no, that's fine. At the same rates, what is the cost of purchase pounds of apples? And then hopefully AI can fill this in for me. And now it is picking up that as number bit. Okay, that seems right. Round to 2 decimal places. And I guess that's fine. Yeah, we'll live with that. And then you know what? I'll trust it. I'll just trust it. And eventually we have to stress test this by, actually playing the game and answering all the questions. I believe you. I believe you, AI. And then we'll go here and add this in here. We're not doing much anymore. Just adding. The diff here is very weird, but that's fine. Oh, okay, I see what it's doing. Okay. Adding pounds of apples question. Look at that. I think now that we've added most of the question types, things have become a bit simpler. This question seems fairly standard. Yeah, it's +3, which will determine the next question. And this other pattern that they had is like +1, +2, +3, +4, +5. So the step increases each time. So they are demonstrating some variation in pattern, but generally it's a find the pattern question. So what I want to do for this one, because just so it's not that standard, is have a randomized starting point and have a randomized step. And then, oh yeah, that's what Mary has as well. Random number, random number. Great. And that gives us sort of the general constraints that I want to have in terms of my questions. So step pattern, let's call it. Start. I should just copy, find the next number in the pattern. I'll do that first. Why not? Get rid of this. I'll get rid of this because I don't want to prime the AI to like, find the next number in the pattern. And then I think because I have a pattern-based question before, it's accommodating this. And let me just check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. Okay, great. So I have a starting point, and then I have a step. And this is also random. So 3 to 7 seems fine. Honestly, it could actually just be higher, anywhere from, let's say, 3 to 12. Why not? And then the step, I want it to be at least 3 to, let's say, 2 to 7. Let's actually make it hard sometimes. Let's make it easier sometimes. Sure. And then okay, yeah, I just need to generate the rest. So A will be derived, and then B will be derived from the value of A, C, and D. Cool. And the answer should be, I can say answer here, and the answer is the next one. And here, yeah. That's unnecessary, but that's fine. I'm also not that invested in modifying that. Let's go back. It's funny because yesterday at the end, I was kind of struggling with the question. Seems like a +4, 24. I was struggling with the this question up here, and we took a chunk of time on that. And today it's like boom, 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 and now we have just 4 questions left, and sort of assisted by Mary's stickies and by AI as well, to be honest. Okay, let's go ahead and get that in. Step pattern question. And maybe once I'm done this, maybe I can jump into some refactoring if I don't get too stuck somewhere. And then maybe later I can revisit some of these questions that I didn't like or excluded. Because I think refactoring is also a nice step that can be done here. Okay, this is like super straightforward. What is a blank tip of a certain bill, right? So, okay. Let me get the question in first. Actually, what is the rest of the stuff that AI wants? No, it's it's like it's really struggling to understand what's going on. Also, I realized that I need to actually do the business of copying this first. Oops. What am I doing? Okay. And then here we'll have calculate tip as the question. Yeah, okay, fine. Tip %. And then we'll make this anywhere from that kind of 15 to, let's say, 25. And then the bill. And here, let's say, I'm going to say 20 to, sure, 100. I'm going to multiply by 2. Should I? I thought maybe I respect the 48 here. But what if I just didn't do that and made this anywhere from 20 to 200? And that's fine, I think. Is that it? And then, did I accept? No, I was like, what did I do? I did not accept. Okay, there I did, but I meant not to accept. And then here, I need to replace this with tip %. I think I need to escape that and to escape that. And then I need, well, that's interesting too, because the total is like .00. But here I'm not going to mess with that. And then our answer should be fairly straightforward. I'll accept this and review quickly. Let's get that back in here. % bill, yep, divided by 100 times bill, round it, great. Let's give this a whirl. I believe you. Okay, let's commit. Adding calculate to question and done. Let me actually also why not just prep for the next question? And the next question is, find the next number in the pattern again. Yeah, and it's a different pattern. So let me just take a look at random number, a step increment, and then plus step increment each time. So that's a little bit starts at some initial value. There's a step increment, right? Got it. And then plus step increment each time. So we add 3 here, then we add 5, so 3 plus 2. And then 5, and then 5 plus 2. Okay, that'll be interesting. Let's just say I guess I have an idea, but I'm not intensely clear on it. Let me get this in here first. And let's finish that off. Knowing that we will have to generate those values, let's say step increment pattern, and then a starting number and a step increment. Start, start, and starting number can be from 1 to 10. I suppose there's no reason why that can't be the case. And then let's say step increment is also this. Maybe that's too much. So for now, let's say 1 to 5. And then let's say step. Let's just say step. Also 1 to 5. I think that's fine. Although I guess this question can get fairly complex. So we're going to start with A again, or no? Yeah, we'll have A, and we need 4 things. So let's see if this gets it right. So we want the step to start at some initial. So what we actually want is like step times step increment, right? No, we won't. That is not what we want. Step plus step increment. I'm just adding the brackets to make it easy for me to understand. Times 0, right? So in the first one, there is no step increment. And as we go, yeah, this is exactly what I had intended. And then B will be 1. And then C will be this. And then D will be this. And I can actually test the logic of the question. And then I guess I can have an answer here as well, which would be that. That works for me. And then here, I think AI will fill this out. Not sure why it wants to. There we go. And then the answer is super simple. Spit it out. I can test this also by starting it with 2 and having this increment be 3 and the step increment be 2, for example. Let me do that. Let me actually do that. So step increment is 2, we said, and step will be 3. And so now if the logic in generating the number is correct, I should have 2 to 26 as my pattern. And if not, then I really should quit coding altogether. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm quitting coding altogether. Okay, let's just review what happened here. 2, 5, 10. So the 5 is correct. What happened here? What did I do? 2 step increment, and step is 3. And so 2, 5. And then so so start is 2. The next number is start plus this is my dependency on AI was, and I did not check. I got to, and this is, it's a danger of this kind of pattern, right? Or using or leveraging AI in this way is like when you lean on it too much. I mean, in this case, not a big danger. Although I have to quit coding. So I guess there are consequences to using AI. There we go. And I trust this is correct. But let me go back and modify this so my start point is anywhere from 1 to 10. And then I think I had, actually I forgot what I had. So I'm going to have to just undo this and then fix this here. So starting point is start, but then this is, you know, A, B, C, D, and there we go. Let's give that another run. 2 and 4, it seems. Cool. Okay, I am happy with that. Adding step increment pattern question. Cool. All right, 2 more to go. I don't know what happened here because I don't see any Mary stickies. So, you know, did she think they were really easy to do? Or did she think they were really hard to do and gave up? Or she thought maybe they were so easy to do that they did not need stickies. You know, we'll find out. Let's go to our friend AI and at least find the perimeter of a square with the area of blah square inches. And then let me, I suppose, begin here by copying this, commenting it out, and then perimeter of square. I already have a perimeter of square question. What does my already perimeter of the square question look like? Here is centimeter squared, and here's square inches. Barely the same question. So maybe that's why Mary skipped it. She's like, we've already done this. What is the perimeter of a square? Yeah, we don't need to do this again. Let's just see. It's 36 square inches. And I think this was the question where I was like, oh, I need to fix that area business. Because this was 10. And that's 36. So I think that range actually can be anywhere from like maybe like 8 to 55. Why not? And we don't need this question. So now our randomizer ability has given us the question we want. And we have another. We have another find number in pattern question. Let me think this out because this does not seem, I mean, my initial instinct is so far we have had numbers to represent each slot. We have not really worked with multiplying by some X value. And I don't know whether that makes a difference broadly here. So it seems like the step or the thing being multiplied by here is, I want to say negative X, right? So times negative X gives us this, times negative X gives us this, and then, yeah, okay. But I don't know if we should even have this question, to be honest. And maybe Mary, that's why Mary skipped both of these. But did not leave a sticky, so who knows? Find the next number in the pattern. I'm just trying to think here. Let's go to Math.js to see. By the way, I did do some reading on Math.js, reading that perhaps I ought to have done sooner, because they have this parse business. So I can do something like square root this and then parse it. And then there's a toText, which is converted to LaTeX. Not that it matters all that much. I mean, not a big deal, but maybe there's some leverage that we can do here instead of, the kind of code that I have. But I mean, in this case, it does respect the idea of variables like X and understands variables from within the parsing engine that they have, which is why I'm curious whether I can do something like X times X, and will it give me X squared? No. So no. Well, I guess that answers it, really. And then I don't feel necessarily like I need to go ahead and create that kind of a thing either. So I think we're done in terms of the questions that we want to do. I wanted to address all the questions here in the slides as a starting point. Luckily, these questions seem simpler. And so we could do them later. I think that's fine. There's some questions here, greatest common factor type questions that are not present in the slides that we converted. So that's fine. I think we can add more types of questions as we go, but I feel like we have a great starting set to work with. So what I'll do from this point here is I'll actually just bring these back, all the questions back, and give just the game a couple of spins, right? Like, let's just see what it feels like, what it looks like. Maybe I can just make some comments on the gameplay as well. Let's shuffle this order. There's a button here that you can't see because my name is taken over. So I do have to fix the cases where icons are not present for the animals that we generate. And then we have this, start round. And, away we go. This divided by that, it's this, yay. Now, when the answer is displayed, I know we sort of designated this area, but I wonder if we can't organize all our questions so that they fit half the screen. So, like in this case, it makes sense. They'll kind of use the full space. But maybe here, what if this stuff was shifted a little off here and then the interface was here? And I'll express the reason why I'm thinking this. I don't think we should do this for sure. It's just a thought that's coming through my mind. And then maybe if we ever move the teacher controls onto a different device, that the teacher's maybe on a phone or on their own computer separately controlling the game, then everything can be centered and use the full screen. But the case where I think we should have it is here. I think this next up thing with the person's name is too small. And here's what I was talking about when we were playing the other games, and the idea of clarity or lack of clarity is prevalent in the game, or where the natural pauses need to occur in the game. So I do think here's a good place for us to rethink kind of how the questions are displayed. Maybe on this screen, I would make a stronger argument, like my sense and gut say, hey, yeah, like that needs more emphasis. And look at all that spacing on this, especially given so let me go to the next question. This screen where we display the answer doesn't look much different than the next screen. So for example, this changes, but everything else pretty much, this changes and this changes. Everything else remains the same. But really this screen serves two emphasis points. One, which is to celebrate or to mourn the result All right, you celebrate if you get it correct. You mourn if you're incorrect. So we can have animations and sounds that accommodate that. And the next purpose this screen serves is to indicate who is next. Even though we have multiple sort of indications, like we do have an indication here, which is great, but I think it can be re-emphasized by shifting this thing over and using it here. So maybe I'll bring that up with Mary. And it addresses one of Mary's earlier concerns where, the first person who starts the round has this like big call out. But I think it makes sense to have a big call out every question, because this is a natural pause and this is like minimized. And I don't like that. Yeah, so now, we have a series of questions. One thing I'm thinking and realizing as well is in this, so we have more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? I think I knew there were 10 players. We have more than 10 types of questions, but this question has appeared twice because every time I'm generating a random number. So maybe there should be some accommodation to try and have the questions be as unique as possible each round, right? To not try and repeat the question each round. Let me see if Mary has given me access to edit. I do. So I don't know. Let me just do that. Can I? Oh, wow. Wow. This is what it feels, folks, to be rejected. What I wanted to do was just have a, because I'm going to forget these points. Even though I know it's being recorded here, I'm going to forget. So I'm just going to use this play area to note those things down. Emphasis on next player. I don't know why I'm making it. I know why I'm making it uppercase. And then the next thing that I noted was avoid question repetition within round where possible, right? So number of players less than number of avail questions. Okay, so a couple of things to note here. Another thing we still need to do, maybe I can also just use this as a, as a point of things that we need to do. So the timer, maybe we can have other ideas of how we leverage the timer, of course, but it needs to be styled properly. Note this at the end, like that's weird, like that, like this should be masked, like Mary was saying, like somebody was teaching about masking. And so we should probably leverage that where this should be masked. This should be masked, and maybe that can be just a square so that when it ends, it just ends. Because otherwise, like that ending is super weird. I'm okay with the color changing, although I think Mary still wants the gradient, which I'm fine with as well. I do like the color changing, but look at that. That's super weird. Okay, so that's fixed timer masking. And then I think just generally based on this is the Honeypot thing. Go to project. And then this is the actual project wireframes and UI. I'm just trying to take a quick glance of like things that I don't have yet. So upload CSV. Well, I'm not too concerned about upload CSV, to be honest, but it is something that we need to do. So I will note it, upload CSV for players. But I wouldn't be too, because I feel like it's so easy to just copy paste from a CSV anyway. Like if you have a CSV, open it, copy paste it, you're done. Text file, whatever. Okay, what else? Oops. Yep, this is fine. I didn't love the way the columns overflow, but again, not something that needs to be fixed. Definitely icons here. Did I note that down? See, like it's so easy to forget. So the icons, animal account for missing animal icons. I know, I guess this is Notion. I could probably have like a board, but it's fine. You know, the fact that I'm even taking notes, okay? That's enough. You want me to create a board? Come on, get out of here. You know, I started the work, okay? That's enough. Yeah, we need to play around with the masking here. That was noted already. And then, yeah, I guess, see, like with questions like this, the spacing, because I think a lot of the questions that I had, one, that I'd minimized that text a lot. So it's creating that space, but my instinct is incorrect because we won't always have that space. So I think there is a challenge here to, you know, in this area, see how we can manage that next up in a better way. And then notice here that it says end round, but I have end game, and I probably need to accommodate the logic for that. So that seems incorrect. It says end game instead of end round. Why? Because I know I did that code a while back, and I don't remember if that was intentionally done by me or if that's incidental or a bug. Animations and sound. So I think that's sort of a key one. Almost, you know, like I'd even wonder that. Obviously, I'll organize this list later, but sounds and animations. I think it's just too much fun to not do next potentially. And then, yeah, the winner screen for sure. So multiple winners. I did not start it in this way, and Mary had brought up these options. So let me style multi-winner screen to match Figma. Okay, I think that's it for the list of kind of the work remaining overall. I mean, there might be other things that emerge or more bugs that emerge, but I'm fine with whatever comes up. And now I do think this is probably a good time to get into some refactoring business, what we see here. I don't know right off the top of my head what that would be. We do have a fairly regular viewer, Hinoji, who had a while ago recommended that these be made into classes potentially, and that recommendation makes a lot of sense given that whenever we see this kind of a pattern, like this multi-if based on type pattern, that's a pretty good case for using classes. Or, you know, if you're doing pure functions, that's fine too. You can have like objects of functions that get returned based on the type, so that you never do this like if business. You kind of, if you have functions coming in, you know, so multiply by is the wrong example, but integer is a good example, or like, you know, fraction or whatever. By the way, this numerator in key variable stuff is done in order to appease the typing system. But here, instead of doing this, you would do something like, so what's being here, generate number. So you would have kind of like a generate number function that you get from like generate number functions object, maybe like this. And then you just run it. And at the end of the day, it would give you this value. And that's sort of what should happen. And all of this code can go away and be refactored into this object of functions that you have. I mean, that's one option. You could also have a function that returns functions. And in that case, you would do something like get generate function. And then you do something like that. And then, you know, your essential value would be something like this. And so this is what this code would look like. And all of this ifs would just be sort of sent into its own space. The other case, which is also a very good one, is using classes. So you encapsulate all the logic. And there's multiple points of logic here. One is the generation logic, which is here. I'm going to get rid of these lines. And there's also the display logic, which is, I mean, for the most part, it's the same, but it's slightly different for different types of variables. So something to consider. I like the idea of classes because there's multiple aspects to cover. And, this could go in the base aspect of the base class. And then these accommodations can be made by overriding that kind of display or process template function, or really it's a template value here. So let's see if I can't do that. I made some changes. What were they? Okay, I just uncommented the code. That's fine. The other thing I do need to do is go through and kind of do this grunt work of marking all of these as numbers. And maybe there's a better solution to this. Maybe I should have come up with it, but whatever. Yeah, that's not two consts there. What am I doing? I saw two consts together, which I typoed, and I was like, I need to get rid of one of them. And it occurred to me that I just need to correct the variable name. Okay. Yeah, let's correct this. And then as soon as I have all the types fixed here, I'm going to go ahead and start the refactoring. So just going through and getting that grunt work done. Really, I just, some part of me also just feels like it's kind of all grunt work after this, for the most part, given how much of the app we have completed. The rest is kind of grunt worky. Yep, I'm just making sure that the AI is replacing the right order here. I don't want to be too, because there's a lot of code. I don't have automated tests here, so. And again, I'm doing all of this just to. So this is just a plus x plus y. Yeah, I mean, creating all these extra variables is not really necessary. X minus y, but I'm also not against it. A, B, C, D minus plus multiply. So A minus B minus plus multiply, correct. And here, let's dump that in. Come on. And then here's divide plus subtract. Divide, add, subtract. Divide, add, subtract. Cool. And I think we're close to fixing the types. Subtract, multiply, subtract in brackets. Nice. Also, I mean, the AI has hints from here as well. So, okay, here the variables already exist. I need to type them or enforce the type. And I think we're done. Let's just make sure that it runs and it generates a new set. Cool. And, even the question generator can probably either, I don't know, be a class per question. Maybe that's a bit extreme, but be something, I think. I don't know. But I do really like the idea of like answer formula. And then I can just use math Math.js to run it, like I'm doing for the derived values. But let's commit here. Oh, okay, this diff won't show us too much because I mean, it will, but not at the rate that it could because I also uncommented stuff. So I'll just trust myself here and say fixing typing issues. Okay. What next? Yeah, let's get into the refactoring. Okay, I was like, what's this? This is one of the questions that I pulled out because I was like, I don't like it because I guess I couldn't make it unique enough from instance to instance. And yeah, let's get into the refactoring. So, okay. I'm just wondering whether I should create a different module or just write the code in the same one. I'll have a variable.ts here. What did I just do? Okay, and maybe I can't just add the code here and see what it feels like. So I'm just going to start coding without any thinking. I'm thinking something about like a base variable, and kind of piecing things together to see what we can accommodate. I guess one of the things I don't like about the class thing already is that this kind of thing was happening, and then the type would kind of reveal itself if with number in business. So, but I'm actually happy to just try the class path and see if I can't resolve the issues. I don't want to necessarily think of the issues up front. There's coffee in there for anyone who's wondering. Yeah, base variable, and then maybe class like integer variable extends base variable, right? And again, I'm not going through the entire thing. I'm just sort of slowly thinking of what this will feel like. Because I still want the definition of a question to still look like this. I don't want to change that, which means that each variable here is still data. I still want it to be purely data, and it means that these values will be used to construct the actual class. So nothing should change here, which means I don't like it, but I think it means I still need these types here. And maybe I can change that later. There might be a way to extract the values here. We'll see. And then what does it want me to do? Yeah, I mean, that's not where I want to go with this. So I probably don't need like a type integer because the type itself is signified by the class name. And then I do want these other values like min, max, right? Like I think that's, is this? can I do something like integer variable.name equals? Will this throw an error strict mode? I actually don't know. It doesn't throw an error here because I think that public defines it, and now it will. Yeah, I was just double because I haven't used this syntax much, so I was a little wonky on what it would do. But I think here I do want like a min max, right? All of them should have a value that's that's number, string, or null. Ultimately, maybe any, but like let's just say number, string, or null. I don't have an accommodation for Boolean, but so this will automatically get that, but it does need the min max values. Exclude is a good one. I do think exclude should be whoops. I think it should be global. Sure should multiply by, right? Also, yeah, an empty array is fine here. And then I guess I need to also have a way of like always. So I think what I could probably do here is use the types to accept these values instead of going public min blah blah blah. I do want someone to just pass the whole bit in. So I know I have a base variable, but maybe this will get confusing because I feel like now I need a variable base. But that's fine. Why is multiply by a string? Yeah, multiply by. I just did this code recently too, and I'm already like, why is this a string? It's a string because if it's a string, then I need to use the variable's value in order to get it. Okay. And by the way, none of this refactoring might work out, but I feel like the exercise is still good to go through. There's also divide by, which I can see, so I'll pull that in. And the divide by and the multiply applies broadly. But for example, decimal places only applies to the variable decimal. I might also do like variable base thing and then do this kind of a thing maybe and say, yeah, exclude belongs there, multiply belongs there, and divide by belongs there. But then honestly, isn't this just an interface of this? Because this type here, like it's in effect an interface, right? Okay, so I'll play it by ear, but I'll just leave this here. I won't do anything with it. Or let's see what AI would have suggested. So if I had a variable integer, let's say, it doesn't want to do anything with it, something like that. Or in fact, the inverse. Something like that. So the type goes away here. Min, max are introduced. Value is, and then exclude, multiply by, and then can this happen? And then I know it's doing that, but are there any other errors in this code? There are not. And maybe I can do this for the rest as well. So type fraction, numerator, denominator, divide by and value. Those are good. Let's get rid of that. And I know this is not the class, refactoring, but whatever. Actually, I wouldn't mind doing this first and then kind of maybe I can make this a class interface because look at that. Like these are pretty much the same. Almost. And just ensuring there's no typing issues. Oh, there are. Okay, we'll get to those in a second. Actually, I should probably just do it after every step, right? Like when I did the fraction, no issues. And then when I did the derived, we have issues. And what is it? Okay, yeah, so value, because I think broadly I said value is string or number. We can't do this kind of a thing if that's the case. So this is a problem. What if I just did the simple thing and said equals sure, and then I do want the multiply by. Does it accept that? Would it accept? I don't love this, but okay, fine. You know, would it have accepted just variable? Oh, so if I did the as number business, it would have accepted it. And what was the other option? Variable value is equal to number parse float. I think this might cause issues. So I'll just comment it out for now. So I'm not entirely committed to it in that way. And then this bit of code is going to come out anyway soon. And this refactoring at least will allow me to do that bit. So yeah, that's fine. Off, okay. And so the type is one of, values are that index, and then the rest is fine. Let's see if that causes any issues. Nope. And then type variable decimal. So type decimal places. Min max here is unique to this. That's fine. And note that I don't have the facility for min and max to be a string here, but the AIs pick that up here because that facility is available in integer, and it should be available in decimal as well. I mean, I never needed it, so I never coded it there, but it ought to be. Okay, and let's see if this doesn't cause any issues. It does. And these are things that I had probably addressed in the integer section. So I'll just close this off here and focus on fixing that here. Yeah, where I had to do something like this. Because if it's string, then I need to pull that value from the variable list and convert it. Otherwise, I use it by default. So, so I created a variable min here, which I feel like I ought to do here as well, because this is, yeah, const variable min. If it's a string, and here I think I need to parse float. Whoops. Not a parse float, but a parse float, and it doesn't need a base. And then I need that for variable max as well. Right, and then I need to use variable max here. I need to use variable min here. And then I need to use variable min here. Okay. And then kind of repurposing it here, but let's see. And this doesn't like it because value is string or number, and we can't do two fixed on a. But if it is decimal, the value should be a number, and I feel fairly comfortable just doing that. We could also convert it, but that's fine for now. Okay, let me revisit. That's it. Now we have variable, which consists of these, which is either like a variable base. All of this works. Let me see if there are any functional issues. Kind of just clicking through. Although honestly, all these questions are generated when the round is generated, so there's no. If there are any sort of execution time issues, runtime issues, they would have happened already. So I'm fine with that. Let me commit this bit of refactoring. So not the new file that I had kind of started off with. And maybe I'm doing double the work because maybe I want to try classes anyway, but this seemed like a natural progression either way. So let's take a look. Added variable base and then modified each one of our variables to be based off of variable base and then adding extra or modifying or adding extra things here. And then the rest is accommodating for some of these nuanced changes that happen as a result of sharing certain types, right? Value is number or string broadly. One thing I suppose I could have done, and maybe is actually worth doing now that I'm thinking about it, is value will always be number here. There's no case, number or null. There's no case where value will be not a number here. Right? Same thing with fraction. I feel like same thing with derived. Every use case of derived. Now, one of is different. This is also a number, right? I don't really see a case where this is not a number. So if I go back here now, when I did this business, that should disappear because this indicates the type for this. Remember how I was like, hey, I'm going to keep this comment around? That's fine. That just works now. This still won't work because we're kind of grabbing a variable value. We don't know whether the other value will be a string or a number. That's it. I mean, that's useful, right? That's kind of step-by-step application is fairly useful. Okay, I'm feeling good about this. There might be some find the lowest common multiple of 12, 12, and 12. Cheers. This is where that exclude thing comes in handy, right? Where like when we're generating these numbers, it should be like, so when you generate x, that's fine. It should be like exclude x and then exclude x and y, right? You don't want the same numbers to be repeated. Which is a pretty cool thing about this format of having the data generate. Although now, of course, and we'll discover things as we go in usage and practice bit by bit. It'll be like, ugh. Yeah, this question is impossible to do in 10. Well, it's not impossible to do in 10 seconds, but impossible for me to do in 10 seconds. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's take a look at what this looks like. Now, yeah, so I was reviewing the code and I was like, hey, wait a minute. I can override value. And then the rest of the code kind of knows how to handle it. It's kind of, it's not guaranteed, but it's close enough. Okay, so variable needed to change because now I'm grabbing it from a different variable potentially. Cool. So here I'll say adding variable base type, refactoring with variable base type. Okay. Now what? I think here, this might be a good point to call or refactor certain areas in the code. Like, for example, this here. At the end of the day, all of these are doing a replace all. So really, that should just be out here as default, right? And then what value gets replaced is dependent by kind of the replace value. So what if I had said something like let replace value is equal to, sure, we'll say variable.value to begin. And then here we say replace value is equal to this, which is this bit here, right? And let me just confirm. Yep. And this goes away because here this becomes replace value. We'll see why that business is happening. Well, I guess we'll see now. Why is that business happening? Because of that? I'm okay doing this, but I can also say missing. Just so it's apparent. I guess I could also say if okay. So I think that's fine. Right at this point, I guess I shouldn't do empty. Just trying to think. I should just do these. What just happened there? What did I do? Okay. I should just do these and then not worry about empty. Because if it's empty, then my assumption is that it's on purpose. But if it's null, let's get that out, which means this still won't work, but I do need to make it a string in order to accommodate or to accomplish this replace. So that's fine. I'm okay with that. So I'm doing this here. And replace value to string is the default, right? Which means that I should not have to, we don't need to do anything for integer because it's the default. This is also the default, and this is also the default. So all of that goes away. And decimal becomes this. And I feel like we have, that's a good point. I think we can do that here. Do this for variable.value instead. And so this error goes away. And here I'm not using replace. I suppose I could use replaced value here, but I don't want to. Sue me. Okay, and now we've cleaned up a bunch of code because we've noticed this pattern of replace all happening. I mean, noticed it before, but honestly, like, I'm not always in a rush to refactor because sometimes it gets in the way of moving forward. And my goal was large. See, yeah, 2 tip questions in a row. I don't know how I feel about that. Definitely, okay, 3 tip questions in a row, but 2 tip questions in a row with the same values would have been worse, and there's no check for that. But in a randomized pick, there will be repetitions 2-3 times. All of them can be. This is happening, and I feel like it's happening as a result of a change. Oops. For a total of total price, and total price is derived. And so this is decimal. I have decimal places, but I feel like this kind of thing is going to happen. So I want to round it here to 2 decimal places. I feel like that's the proper solution. So this, I feel like, could have happened regardless of the changes I made here. But we'll continue to keep an eye out for that kind of thing as it happens and correct it. Okay. So unless I quickly see any sort of oddities here, I'm okay with this. That was the whole round. Okay. And what did we do here? So we fixed that. Okay, fine. But really the crux of what we did was, okay, if variables still are undefined, it means you have variables that you haven't generated. And then here we got rid of a bunch of code and just refactored it. Now this could have gone into the classes, but this is a very fine first step as well. Okay. So that's refactoring the question template. Template. Excuse me. Templating code. Okay. What else? The generation code, right? Now here, I guess it becomes a little bit more fraught. By the way, what happens now when I get rid of this? Because I know I did it for typing way back when, but things have changed since then. And so that is fine. Now I'm wondering how I would go about this. Yeah, I know what to do. This divide by business should be outside, right? Because it ought to apply to every single, and I will run into typing issues again, but that's fine. It should be out here. And here are my typing issues. Can I do an and? Sure, I could do that, but what can I do? A type of here? That settles the typing issue, and it's relevant in the code as well, because we shouldn't be going here doing this if this is not a number. Same thing with multiply by, and for no reason in particular, I'm doing multiply by before. And I guess the difference here, when I just pull that out, is this needs to be variable key. But I guess I'm also noticing that all of these have variable. Like that variable stuff, variable keys, should probably be right here. Because when I started coding this, it wasn't clear to me what I would be doing. So now it doesn't like it. Okay, I have to change it everywhere. Okay, a bit of a nuisance, but okay, fine. but I still think fairly relevant because it should be this fluid. I'm wondering whether, yeah, that doesn't get copied. It's still by, it's not by value, it's by, it should be fine. But if it's not, then I'll be sad and I will undo all of this code. That could go away. No, it does work because I did this. So it's not, you know, I did a mix and match, it turns out. So it works. There's a multiply by here, and I think there's a multiply by here as well. So both of those would need to change. This can go away. This can go away. That looks good. This can go away. This can go away. That looks good. Yep. And then this can go away. That looks good. And now this should be able to come out here with just the typing issue, right? Nothing but the typing issue, I hope. Not sure why this didn't automatically correct itself. And then I can address that with that. And here I can do this. I can do that. I mean, just for completeness, I'll do the same here. But also I think I can just have that in an if around it, you know, if variable dot value and type of is a number, then all of this can go in there. I don't have to perform that check over and over. And here, this becomes just, excuse me, this check, and then this becomes just this check, and I still do need to do this here, this here, this here, and then that there. And now that's adequately refactored, and now multiply and divide by apply to every number thing where they're defined. I'm just eyeballing this to see what other things are the same. And the only thing is where it gets these values, right? Like, okay, yeah. So it's just the case where these values are retrieved. Like that's the same. But I'm not gonna go further for now. Like I think maybe that can happen a bit later. I can get rid of this multiply by because it's all the same. I was just eyeballing it. Note that the exclude still works for just integers. It doesn't work for everything. And maybe there's a case here. You know how we have this like number is valid? We can have a value as valid and wrap the entire thing around it. Let's see. No, come on. Wow. Okay. Yeah, this needs to be included in that because it's the eventual value that's relevant, not just the initial. It's like, hey, you didn't change the value here. And that needs to happen. So the generation happens, and now I have to treat the entire thing as the generation. And then this bit, I'll copy it for now because if I just remove it, I'd have to come back and verify that. So here is where that check can happen. For now, I think that's fine. And here, this could be value is valid, is true. If it's not, I'll continue, and we'll get that done again. And that means this can go away, and this like my initial generation, which I don't quite remember why I had done that. So all that is this now, because ultimately we've wrapped everything in here. And now that exclude is available to everything. So decimals get it. Jeez, excuse me. Strings get it. Everyone gets it. Cool. I like that. I mean, it does complicate the code here a little bit because I have like this dump of an if statement inside of here, but I'm okay with that for now. And so I've done some cleanup around the multiply by, divide by, and exclude, right? And all like these properties are available now to all the variables, which I'm fairly happy about. Applying multiply by, divide by, and exclude to all variables. Okay. I mean, this is of course where like if I did invest the time in writing tests, that would help. But I think maybe at some point I'll generate those tests as well via our friend AI. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything I specifically want to tackle at this point, or whether maybe it's a good time to call it for now and maybe address other bits of refactoring later. Because let's see what we've done here. We've done, well, okay. We have this emphasis, so this as well. Okay, that problem, this, probably the last thing. Honestly, like not a, yeah, that's important. That's important. And that's important as well. Maybe I can use the rest of this time to do this, kind of bringing this view in line with this aspect of it. And I know I have this kind of dangling file. I'm just going to remove it. Never pursued that path. So, and then the other thing I'll do is I'll just push the rest of this code up. Okay. Winners, winner. Okay. That happens here and here. Yeah, so here's the case where there's one active player, and here's the case where there's multiple active players. And I should be able to fairly quickly get to that state. Here, if I guess, end the game here, and I can just keep refreshing this until it looks like what it ought to look like. So first things first is, I'll just copy and paste this for now. And we'll have this up here. Outside, the player avatar goes away. This becomes winners. And that's here for now because they, like, all of these are sharing the same level. So should this be out here? But I don't know if the rest of, okay, yeah, it should. And then these can become columns here, like so. In first step, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. So at least it starts looking like it's more sensible. And then let's try to think how I want to tackle this. What if I did do column? Would it just be one large list? Yeah, it would. And maybe here's a good grid. Maybe here's a good time to use grid. I'm actually not sure what would happen here. Nothing happens. Tailwind grid. I need to assign grid columns and so on. So let's see what I need to do. Grid calls. I'm going to say 3. I know Mary had 2 in her thing. I will begin to say 3. And then a few other things here. I want less space here than a single winner. Even like maybe half that space. So I'm hoping that and that get adjusted. Even if there's just 2 winners, I don't care. And then I think I want a little bit more space here. I know in the design, they're not aligned actually. So I'm okay not aligning them here, although it looks a little weird. So we'll see. So the space concern, I want maybe a little bit more space here, a little bit less space here. So this MB 14 can become 7, even 6. And then my grid can probably be gapped. Brings the honorable mention closer, but actually I think not too close is probably a good idea. And I feel like I can gap 3 that. Let's see what that feels like. It feels a little bit better. There's just a lot more breathing room here. And I'm okay with that for now. I'm a bit hesitant to do 2 columns because I feel like this will get too long. So I'm okay with 3 for now. And if that causes any issues, then we'll address it then. So eyeballing quickly my changes. Okay. Making multi-winners page look somewhat like the Figma. Okay, and look at that. Is there a baboon? Strikeout, baboon. What's baboon? Missing animal icons. I wouldn't mind actually doing this. while I'm here. Because it's one of the things that makes the game look broken, right? It's not like a big deal, but that looks like there was an error. And so let me take a look at player. Whoops, what just happened here? I guess I went into iTerm. But let me take a look at player avatar here. And I only just noticed that I'm kind of exposing like one node dotted up, whatever PNPM is doing here. I didn't realize that. Okay. And that's how it was yesterday as well, actually. Okay, fine. What was I doing? These things, which are coming from, I'm aware of this error and decided not to fix it for now. These are coming from Noto. Maybe I can ask AI for this. Give me a JSON array of all Noto animal icons. This might actually just give me, oh no, it's not. This might be wrong as well, but I'm okay. We're taking that for now. And let's see where that was getting generated. I think I had something like adjectives. So I could probably have something like animals. And here, get adjective was doing this thing of just returning a random adjective based on the letter. So a little bit more specific. But my animals can be that. Okay. And then just taking a look here, just get adjective based on name. I'm not going to make it too intense here. I'll just go, Hamad, welcome back. Thanks for coming back on the stream. I've just been, finishing off the questions today, which I feel like I'm done. I'm done converting. Most of the questions I wanted to, there's just one question I need to reassess. And then I'm here just, refactoring some of the code. I'm not sure if you were here earlier for that, but refactoring some of the code and then fixing some bugs, making it look better. So we'll have a get animal function. I just, I'll call it get random animal. So it's a bit clearer. And yep, that looks good to me. There will be repeats. And maybe we can fix that later. But there will be repeats. So I know I need to go to the place where I'm actually using get adjective in order to address that. And I did this kind of thing here, but I suppose I could do get random animal here. And faker can go away here now. We're no longer using faker as part of that generation. And then let's test this out. Everybody has an icon. I don't see any repeats, but that's just incidental. And maybe at a later point, I'll deal with any, whoa. That's upsetting. That is upsetting. I really would have thought that this case wouldn't happen. But let's just take a look to see what exactly. Let me increase the size here. Let's see if we can't see what's exactly happening. Hatching chick, I guess, doesn't exist. And this might just be AI's hallucination business. And I can also take a look here. And that's what I'll do. Like B doesn't exist. No auto icon B. It's honeybee. And another reason why you can't entirely trust AI. Honey. So, I mean, maybe I should check these against the list, but I can see that most of these are fine. Some of them are not. And at least it's become clear, right? I can, if I get a generation and it doesn't work, I can just remove it off the list. Whoops. And then if not, I can, yeah, I think we could just one by one as we go. And later on, I'll dedicate some time to, okay, so I'll fix these for now. And then later on, we'll dedicate some time to actually go through that list. And yeah, this whole see no evil, hear no evil business. I would like to keep those, but it seems like those would have been fun. Oops. There's a shortcut for this, which I keep forgetting. C. I used to use that shortcut exclusively before. Now it's not. It's not even working for some reason. Inspect is also not working for some reason. Let me just refresh here. See what's wrong. Maybe start a new game. I guess I'm just having a moment here, folks. Bear with me. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll just try and catch out. This is the last one I'll do. I know this is like just grunt work, but you know, I committed to doing all of the coding on stream. I feel like all these chicks can go away. And maybe we're mostly fine here. So, okay. Okay, one last check and then we're done. One more. Just for the road. See? Look at that. And this is the last one. I feel like a little kid who's like, just one more. And then you give it one more, and they're like, no, I want more. They're lying. Because that's what kids do sometimes. So now this doesn't even want me to. I feel like that's weird. I think when I change this code, something wrong is happening in the HMR that's preventing this whole thing from functioning properly. Yeah, that was the lady beetle. Okay, like I said, like promised, that was the last one. So here are all these changes that I'm using a get random animal from my list instead of it being generated by Faker. And even though my list isn't 100%, I can easily kind of address it as we go. Generate random animals from a set list. Okay. Let's see. I mean, I guess this isn't done entirely, but a little bit. Some remaining work. And I guess I gotta undo that here. I'm trying to think if I'm happy to wrap up now, but I'm seeing, hey, is there something I could do in the next 10, 15 minutes? I could do this, but it might end up taking longer. Yeah, I mean, I'm not thrilled necessarily about working on any one of these because I feel like it might be a sinkhole. It might end up taking longer, but I feel like I'm fairly happy with that. Maybe we start with sounds and animations next time, or maybe any one of these bugs. This is a bug. This is a bug. These are not bugs. These are kind of design concerns, gameplay concerns. Bug, bug, bug. Feature that I might not do at all, even. We'll see. Okay. I think that's it for today. Thank you for joining this session of Product Like It's Friday, even though it's Saturday. And today I just finish up the questions, address some refactoring, fix some bugs, and we'll continue with more design concerns. We'll continue with more bug fixing and more features until we get our game here and we make it playable. We still have to address the size issue here, but maybe that can be addressed with how else we want to use the space. I also want to address making all the questions fittable in the space as well. So yeah, I might go through all the questions one by one again. Like we're in grunt work territory. We're not necessarily devising too much new stuff, although there'll be some other design concerns that I think Mary can look into that will be new. But otherwise, that's it. Yeah, I'm good here. Let's go home, everyone.